One of the most beautiful things about my career in opera was that I was constantly meeting new people or experiencing new things. I feel a fairly cultured person. You know, my career took me to places that I never thought I would go. You know, my last gig was in France, and I remember singing an opera with somebody who literally spoke Russian and she did not speak English. Or I remember when I was in France, we didn't speak French. So one of my castmates was Italian. And so the only way to communicate was to learn French, which I did, or speak with my Italian colleague and I speak Italian, so it was like fun. But like the sense of isolation that you can experience when you're on these gigs or away, or when you're exploring a new culture, a new environment, a new place, it can be really overwhelming. And what I think this game does so well is that ideally you embrace something that's new and something that feels foreign to you. For a long time, I really was studying and practicing in the Buddhist principles and the Buddhist ideals. And like, you know, I learned about Confucianism and Taoism and Taoism in history, and I wanted to be a history teacher at one point. But to see Buddhist principles or talk about the Buddha or the Enlightened One or the Celestial Court, and seeing all this real, I guess, cultural identification of what makes, you know, a real tenet of Chinese culture, I suppose, was really beautiful. The only exposure I've really gotten to this in a similar way was with Genshin Impact with Liyue, and taking a look at Chinese culture in that sense, and Chinese, you know, opera, Beijing opera. What I feel is really amazing about this game is that I feel like if you go into it thinking about it like with some sensitivity and think about it as a piece of art and a piece of literature, you come away with such a renewed sense of like a desire for discovery. I think that this is what a lot of people tend to get wrong about gaming in general in 2024, but certainly about this game, is that if we look at it at a like from a video game perspective, I don't think it's so innovative. You know, there's like stances and combat, and it's challenging, and you pick up items and do all the typical stuff we would do in any game, right? What's different about this is the artistic value that this provides, more so than like a lot of the other stuff that comes out. Like in general, now we could say that about many video games, that video games are a work of art in general. They are. Absolutely. I would always agree with that statement. However, this game made me feel like I was also learning. And that was the thing that kept me wanting to play, is that every single time I would enter into a new area, I didn't know what I was going to get. And that keeps me interested and engaged, but also because there was always some sort of mythology or lore, which I have to go and read now, and you know, a whole bunch of stuff that made it so intriguing. And also on top of that, what's really cool about the lore, if you think of things like Aesop's Fables or Grimm's fairy tales and stuff, like these are things that we're exposed to, certainly in the West. But what's really interesting is that we're not exposed to any of this stuff when it comes to embracing other cultures. And growing up in a multicultural home, I didn't have the standard life experience that a lot of my peers did when I was in high school and in middle school. I grew up in an Italian home. You know, everyone was talking about sports and this and that, and I was speaking Italian, talking about Italian food, and listening to music and being exposed to, you know, the things. You know, my dad didn't grow up in an all-American high school. He grew up in Italy. You know, my mother grew up in a small town in Italy. So to me, like, the cultural impact of this game can't be underestimated. And I think what tends to happen is that we look at this at a very shallow consumeristic perspective, where we say to ourselves, this game is a game, right? But it is so much more than that. And it requires a little bit of open-mindedness. And as a society, whether it's East or West, I can't really speak to the East, but certainly in a Western society, in the United States, I feel that as time goes on, the conversation around gaming and the conversation around art becomes much more consumeristic, much more based around consumerism. And what this game does, if you allow yourself to take the time, is that this game will allow you to think about the landscape of what it means to appreciate a journey, not to be parabolic about Journey to the West, but it allows you to go on a trip where you can experience new things and emerge the other side, hopefully, with your life perspective a little bit different. And this is the problem. This is the problem with in a society that values consumerism, values money, values spending. What we lose is the overwhelming sense that, like, life is actually way bigger than just playing something on a controller in a video game and then moving on to the next thing. What Black Myth Wukong does is it connects us not only to a different culture, but also to a deeper meaning. And that now some of the story is hard to follow if you don't necessarily know Journey to the West, right? But I would also argue that you don't need to know it to take away some sort of moral or some sort of conversation about what's happening in these stories. You know, I'm thinking the end of chapter 4, especially the end of chapter 3, and about humanity and the ideals of humans and how humans can be easily manipulated, or what it means to even exist in the world. And there's also what I found really interesting, now spoilers, but as we approach the end of this game, there's a phrase where you can't really, I'm paraphrasing, you can't go back. Like the journey, you have to go on the journey, and as long as you're born and you choose to just go, that's life, right? And we get hung up on little things all of the time, but what this game does is, if you allow it to, this game will actually change your mental perspective. That's really exciting to me, because we move away from just something that we're doing to waste time. Because I mean, everything we're doing here is just wasting time. You know what I mean? Playing video games, going to work. What is it all about? What's it all for? What is this YouTube channel for? What are you that are watching me talk right now? What is it all for? You know what I mean? It's the stuff that we're doing to get by. And I think a game like this can really make you stop and you play it 40, 50 hours. 40, 50 hours. I mean, like 40, 50 hours of a life, you know, and we only get how many hours in a lifetime. So to sit down and commit to this and to come away with it with a sort of like, oh, what a fun game. It's way bigger than that. It's way bigger than that. Now, of course, it is a fun game, so you wouldn't be wrong to think that. But there's such depth. You know, everyone wants to shy away from talking about the real stuff, but like in my mind, this is the goods. This is the goods. This game is the goods. This game will make you think about what it means to be alive, or certainly what it means to like have action and like do things in life. And in my experience with studying a little bit of Buddhism, and you know, I had a meditation coach at one point, so because I had a lot of anxiety in my opera career, so I was trying to navigate that, which is part of the reason why I quit opera to begin with. For those of you that don't know, I was a former opera singer. I quit because I couldn't. The anxiety was like eating me alive, and so trying to find ways to be centered and be strong internally was really hard. And so meditation was a way that I did it. And to find meditation spots in this game where we're in a calm moment of peace to reflect on the journey, or perhaps just to take a little bit of a break, was really special. And again, every time you turn a corner, you're getting some new mythological creature to experience, whether it's wolf people, whether it's a giant green man with a huge head, or whatever, you know what I mean? Or the bosses, which are all really intriguingly designed. There was not one moment in this game where I was bored, because every time you enter into a new place, you're delighted with a new visual experience. And again, that ties into the idea of art being bigger than the sum of its parts. You know, you walk into an experience and you're like, holy crap, like, look at this tiger in a pool of blood with a Buddha statue behind it. When do you ever see that in modern gaming? So in conclusion, Black Myth Wukong is not just a game. It's like a literal lived experience. You can approach it like a game and enjoy it for what it is. Absolutely. It's fine. It's a good game. But the reason why it is so good is not just because of the game mechanics. It's good because of the storytelling, because there's clearly passion about it. There's heart involved, and musically it's really interesting. And like, let's listen to some of this music. I mean, like, just musically speaking, there was a lot of stuff in here that was really, really terrific. And mind you, the fact that the devs included a music player in the game itself shows how much they respect the importance of music. And this is a music channel, for those of you that don't know, and so we have to talk about how meaningful the experience is because of the music. And musically, I felt that this game overall, with my 50 hours with it, I felt the music was pretty sparse, actually. But what I found interesting was the use of, again, traditional Chinese instrumentation, guzheng, pipa, you know, all the other instruments that I can't even think of right now. And Chinese lyrics. In listening to Chinese lyrics, I have plenty of friends. You know, there's a program called I Sing Beijing where people go and they, you know, they sing in Chinese. I mean, my friend has been in a Chinese opera. I was friends with a really talented Chinese opera singer named Yi Li, and dude was a terrific singer. And it was always a pleasure to hear him and other folks speak Chinese to each other. Chinese is weirdly, you wouldn't think it, but it's a very easy language to sing in. There's a lot of vowels. Now there's a lot of consonants and other, you know, pitch inflection and stuff, which is challenging, but it's pretty cool. The first thing I want to do is listen to Where Lies the Path Ahead, which was the other alternate ending that I didn't hear. Almost starts like the Moonlight Sonata by Beethoven. child voice. Wow. That's so beautiful. This is so somber and so sad, and the reason why it's so sad is because this song, I feel, represents innocence lost, right? Using a child singer, and now we're talking like child, like this is probably 5 to 6 to 7, maybe 9 years old max. That sound quality is so innocent and so pure, right? Do you hear how the sound quality in that is so like naturally, like there's no flaws in that sound. It's not affected. There's no operatic vibrato. There's no real like pitch, like emphasis even. It's just raw. And in that rawness is what makes it human, right? You see how like sometimes when we listen to music, if it's too affected, we actually end up not connecting to it as much as if it was like this raw quality to it, right? Wow, interesting. That like hurts the soul. That is so profoundly deep with that low percussion. But and also, I mean, to have this young child start this, and the lyrics are, "In the distant land we've journeyed far, with lights we knew of dawning and dusk, harsh trails we walked turn to paths now, another peril won't stop us, it won't stop us." And then we switch to an adult. "Seasons have approached and passed, we've come through unbent through hard, where lies the path ahead, is it right under your feet? Where lies the path ahead, it is right under your feet." And that's like the mature, wise sound. This is a baritone, bass baritone. So there's a sageliness in that sound. There's a sense of knowledge, a sense of a spiritual advisor guiding that sound. It's very different from the beginning, which is like, "With the lights we knew of dawning and dusk, harsh trails we walked turn to path now. Another peril won't stop us, it won't stop us," right? That's like a little bit confident, a little bit of feeling like, all right, we can do this. And then here we are. We have the sagely sound, "Where lies the path ahead? It is right under your feet." Do you hear how that would sound differently if that was with a different voice? But because it's with a sagely bass baritone sound, a bit older, probably in the 60s, late 50s-ish, right? That sound quality is much, much more like aged and knowledgeable and present and aware, right? That's a huge difference. A bit tired even. He's 83. Wow. That's so beautiful, though. Imagine you're 83 years old and you're saying lyrics like this. In the distant land we've journeyed far, grand lands and lakes witnessed our scars. Lightning and rains only strengthened our art. We've kept our word from the start, Imagine being that old and singing that, and what that would mean. I mean, I get choked up singing it at 37 hearing these lyrics. So imagine in their 80s. We're lucky we even get to live to be that old. My dad died at 67. Like, this is the power of music, you all. This is the power of music. I can say that to you, but it doesn't feel the same. I mean, the way that the lyrics go, the way that the melody goes, that's so haunting to me. And then they come together, beginning and end, kind of, you know? But do you hear how beautiful that is? Da da ya da da da. Do you hear how that melody is so gentle? Ja da 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 da. That's lovely. Where lies the path ahead? And then this is much more proclaimed. House, yow, it is right under your feet. Much more pronounced and much more direct. They stop singing with emphasis with that horn section, and then we have this. Just sustained strings. We like fade away. Oh, that's so good. That's so stunning, you guys. Like, but this is what I'm talking about. This is like an honest human story. This is all of us. Where lies the path ahead? It is right under your feet. All we've got is this. I didn't know I was going to become a YouTuber and be able to talk about music to, you know, thousands of people a day. I was going to be an opera singer. What was I doing when I was an opera singer? I was trying to be an opera singer. You can do so many things in this life. That's so powerful. But I want to see another game that includes stuff like this. It doesn't happen. Yeah, it's this one. I love the intensity of this piece. It feels so heroic, you know? Some really nice counter movement there with the trombones and the other brass. All sharp rhythm. All we have is spinning in the strings, right? And then we go back to very light. I love this percussion so much. Tons of brass there. The strings are doing ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba. I love the spinning here we get in the strings. It feels like spinning moves, right? I love the re-emphasis of that melody there. And this is all building. Big swell into the end. I mean, what a sick piece, right? There's a couple like that in this game. But let's listen to It Will Fit Me Just As Well. Super rhythmic and percussive here. Sick. I mean using chant like this in a game, I've never heard it before. It's crazy. As it swells and increases in volume. Shum-bum-bum, right? It's a ba-ba-bum. And then we kind of reset with just the rhythmic elements. Bum, bum. It's such a unique soundscape. And the chant is essentially a call and response, like a shadow element in the soprano female voices with that strong dominant chant sound. And this is from the Amitabha Sutra, an actual Buddhist chant. But it's the sha ba ba sha sha. I mean, it's so visceral, isn't it? Fantastic stuff. So now we have more long singing chanting in the background. And it's all like in dissonance, you know? So strong. And that's cool because it's big heavy beat and then the chant. Bam, bam. I mean, that's such like an intense thing that we don't really hear. We don't really hear that in modern times, really. I want to listen to Flames Have Paved My Way. And this is like, let's get started, let's get going. It almost feels like tuning to, yeah, because we're just stacking. There's our melodic motif. obviously we have like electric guitar and stuff in here, which is really cool. It's nice to have like a real old sound mixed in with a modern sound. That's really nice. And it just repeats. And that really helps it get itself into a but it's actually increasing in dynamics. Here. What a fun mix, a fun fusion. Fusion is so cool. Nice shift into the electric guitar. A new melodic idea. Nice response there. Here. Nice horns used here. Nice dissonance. And then it resets into the somber, sad quality here. Pulls all the way back in the dynamics, so we're just left with desolation and loss, right? That single horn, French horn, just descends down. Da, 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 right? Do you hear how bleak that is? How broken it sounds? A little bit of hope in there. That sound has a hopeful quality to it. Da, crescendo slightly. But it turns into a mourning piece, a piece of loss, a piece of death. Like, where do we go from here? There's nowhere to go, right? Swell, right? This sublime stillness. Repeating that melodic idea from before. But like a what has come to be sort of way, right? Almost like simmering below the surface, right? And that's one of the more unique tracks of this. Now, of course, we see this in other games like Dynasty Warriors, and it does have a Xenoblade quality as well. Mixing and fusing different cultural instrumentation together is a really cool thing. We'll never get tired of that. Here too, we're mixing piano with traditional instruments. I think the guzheng is in there. It's stunning. It's such a beautiful, romantic, almost almost like it's a ballad, essentially. So beautiful. It's so tender. The way they're singing is so exposed. Right, it's very peaceful. Wait. So he says running as the flow, and you hear how it goes like a flowing river? Little things like that. That's called word painting. It's very powerful. That's so beautiful. It's not often that we have the male actually go up. Usually, at least in classical Western writing, the female actually is the one that goes up into the upper register. Weirdly, it happens another time in The Prayer by Andrea Bocelli. You ever heard The Prayer? Well, it actually appears in The Prayer when at the very end. But so that's so touching. When the man goes up like that, there's a lot more emotionality in a way, based on my sort of understanding of the way that songs are written. It's less of a dominance thing with a man, especially when the man goes up. It's a little bit more of a tender approach, which I think is quite nice. Now they're just talking, right? Gorgeous, sort of like almost jazzy piano, but just very elegant string writing as well, of course, as you can hear. Sort of supporting these singers here. I love that. Ooh, yeah. Oh, gorgeous upper register strings. Beautiful swell. We go from real pared down piano into this, right? I love this conversation. Wow, look at this lyric. How can there be a future looking at the wrong hope? My God, that's so sad. Let's go back. Let's listen to how she sings that. Oh, we can't. So actually what's really cool is that they're singing the exact same melody, but the lyrics have changed. It's a very strophic song, where strophic means the music stays the same, but the lyrics change. And this is similar. But it's amazing how we don't change the melody, but the lyrics change the meaning. So you can have the exact same melodic structure, but the words are different. And so there's a more emphasis. Again, it's a nice little, this is very, 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 very rooted in a Western style song. Think like German lieder, French chanson, Italian canzone, things like that. Beautiful the way he goes up. And we're left with the conversation. That's how we end this piece. What is this? This is called rubato. Right? No. Notice they don't go, no. That would be resolving. And that's amazing because in this story, things don't go the right way. So instead of going, no, they go, no, no. Oh, well, whatever the note is, I resolved it. But you know what I mean? There's a little bit of like, well, shoot, right? It just happens. Nothing doesn't end. They don't resolve. It doesn't come together. And so again, not to make this video overly long, but what I have to say is it's incredible to me that this game is just such a work of art. We just listened to several tracks that make it feel like it's a work of art, and playing through it is a worthwhile experience because you get to unravel not just a game, but what it means to be alive in a way. What it means to see something differently, with a different pair of eyes. And I know that this entire thing has sounded like a diatribe into, you know, pontificating about religion and life and death and all that other stuff. But like, that's art. Art is supposed to challenge us to think those ways. And that's why this game is so good. Not just because the gameplay's good, because the gameplay's fine. It's good, it's decent, it's things you've seen before. But what you haven't seen, or I haven't seen in quite a while, is a real deep game that makes you think about life and about embracing and understanding other cultures. A bridge to walk so you can go to the other side and experience something new. If you like this sort of stuff, there's more on the channel. Feel free to like, subscribe, and as always, thanks a ton, and I'll talk to you later.